What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Lead Champ Pro weekly call. I'm excited to be able to interview our special guest, Mr. Jackson Becker. Jackson, what state do you live in, man?
Missouri.
Missouri. Okay,
Yep.
awesome. And how long have you been selling life insurance?
Just over 2 years. I've been licensed just over 2 years. Whenever I got licensed, I was working at a Mexican restaurant, serving tables at a Mexican restaurant, and made decent money, but that's not a career, you know? So I was looking for something, and then I got licensed, and then like 4 months into it, I'd made maybe like one sale that could have charged back, but it proved the concept. I wrote a policy. I was like, all right, I got paid on it. I ended up quitting and going full time at it in January of 2024. So
Okay, awesome. And your best month is right around 30K?
yeah, 32,000. I think this January should be, I'm expecting over 40K. I've had a lot of business in December that rolled over, and I'm writing a whole bunch of business this month. So I'm expecting a 40K month in January.
Love it. Let's go, man. Well, talk to us just a little bit about, the journey of, you got started, like what was kind of holding you back there in the beginning that 4 months, one sale? What did it look like when you went full time? Did you figure it out right away? Was it a bit of a struggle? And like, when did it become like you were consistently writing apps every week?
Yeah, longer than it should have. I was what they call a secret agent for the first like year that I was in the business. That nobody knew who I was. I didn't know who anybody was. I knew Trey Honeycutt. I was hired by Alex Pazos. Trey
Yep.
Honeycutt is our upline. So like Trey was kind of my connect to FFL, but I don't even honestly think that he knew who I was at one point. So I made a mistake of not plugging in to the systems within FFL. So I would say the first year I wrote like just over 100,000. It was enough to pay our family's bills, but not much after that, obviously. And then 2025, I would say at the end of 2024, things started to make sense where, you can anybody can write business, but it takes that's where it becomes a business owner. You have to, even if you wrote a lot one week, the next week you have to come in and do the exact same thing. But I didn't necessarily understand that if I had a good week, I would slack off on the next week. So
Mm.
numbers were up and down a lot. And toward the end of 2025, I started going to lock-ins, started really plugging in. I got set up with Lead Champ Pro, and it almost felt like everything came together at the exact same time to where if I don't succeed and get Hall of Fame in 2026 with all of the different things that have kind of come together, then I probably just quit because it's kind of on autopilot at this point.
Yeah. Please don't quit. We would
No,
we would definitely
we got
yeah.
issues, man.
So
We got issues if
yeah.
I quit,
If
man.
you hit 398,000, please don't quit. We still want you here.
I promise.
Well, in this business, like you kind of have to evolve, and it sounds like you've evolved a lot of things. You've evolved like your mentality of like going from a part-time agent to a full-time agent.
Yeah.
How serious you're taking it. Going from having a good week, and then we always talk about we call it the Disneyland effect. You have a good week, and then you go on vacation for a week, and then you come
Yeah.
back and you spent your commission, you've got to charge back, and you've got no leads, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
what do I got to do? Well, I got to be scrappy.
Yeah.
And I kind of appreciate some of those weeks. I think all agents like need to go through that in the beginning.
Hmm.
Of course, I want to tell you like, hey, there's a landmine here, don't step on it. But when you live it, you go, okay, I'm not going to do that again, especially as you
Oh, I
decide like
got
I'm going
told
to make
plenty of
this a
times not
career.
to take time off after having a good week, but it didn't work until I actually saw the repercussions of it. So,
Yeah, 100%. So
yeah.
talk to us a little bit about like what was the mindset switch on activity, and then kind of what has been like, how did you start with leads, and kind of what have you evolved into?
Yeah. The biggest change that I think I made was not getting complacent after making a sale. Like, if it's so easy to talk yourself into taking an hour or two break after you write $2,000 or $3,000 in the first half of the day or something like that. Anything around like if you write business, you always got to fight that voice in the back of your head that's telling you to take some time off because oh, you earned it, you made money. But a big switch that I made that started producing consistent numbers was acting like my policy that I just wrote was going to charge back, that it wasn't good
Mm.
business. And that switched in my brain to, okay, so that one, yeah, that'll pay me, but it might not stick. So let's write another one to get that covered. And then I just keep on doing that. Um, I gotta say though, I've been so confident ever since switching to Lead Champ Pro. They're not paying me to say this, guys, I promise. No, I'm kidding. They, the clients love getting in contact with me and knowing who that they contacted. Like after a policy is written, you'd be surprised how many people that I talk to and they're like, yeah, I don't know who my agent is. I don't know how much my coverage is. I don't know how much I'm paying for it. But I know that I mean, I gave them my banking. I mean, I know that I have coverage. I just don't know anything about it. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, well, what's the name of your agent? Oh, I don't know. What's the number? How do you contact them? Oh, I don't know. Like that is so they're just asking for a chargeback at that point. So as much as I would try, whenever before Lead Champ Pro, I would try my best to keep clients. I'd have them save my number. I would do what I can to try to stay relevant in their life, but it's just, I mean, it's not always possible. So with the Lead Champ Pro, they're literally texting them, making sure they get policy packet, policy information, ask like happy birthday cards, like the whole nine yards. That's honestly why I signed up in the first place was because it does the other half of your job for you. Like 50% of our job is selling insurance, and that's, anybody can do that. But the other 50% is keeping up with your book of business. I mean, you can do this for 5 years and have millions of dollars of a book of business, and you don't even know how to contact them. Like that's
Yeah.
a big
It's a huge red flag.
red flag.
Yeah. I've talked to many agents who have been here for 5, 6, 7 years, and I go like, "What do you do for your book of business?" And they're like, "I just keep it in the carrier back office." I'm like, "The carriers don't even give you those people's phone numbers anymore." So
No,
like,
yeah, they don't
you
care.
didn't, they don't care. So it's like, what do you like? You work so hard for this book of business, like it is your book of business.
Yeah.
Um, so a couple things there. So like, for the same reason that you were like, this is why I got started with Lead Champ Pro is like it's the same reasons that we created Lead Champ Pro. When I was in the home with people, I can't tell you how many times I went to someone's house and I was like, "What policy do you have?" And they're like, "Well, the guy, he left me behind this yellow sticky note that has a random policy number scribbled on it and $45 a month." And I'm like, that's it? And they're like, yeah, that's it. And then I would leave the home. And when I left the home, I'd pull out, a red folder from my bag. I'd write Jackson Becker life insurance on the front. I'd slip a business card in. There'd be a brochure from the company. There'd be, my version of, a policy packet, all my notes that I
Hmm.
wrote the quote on. If I was, drawing a little illustration of like their house and whatever else, I would, they get to keep all of that. So they got to remember our conversation. And then I'd be like, hey, when that policy comes in the mail, shove it in this red folder and tell your
Hmm.
daughter if something happens, find the red folder. And it was like when we went to telesales, we didn't have that version of the red folder. That was what kept my persistency so high in the home. And people did not cancel my policies when I was doing in homes unless I oversold them, which obviously happens. But they didn't cancel it from the perspective of another agent came in and said, "I'll save you $5 a month." Because just the level of professionalism, but I also had staff that helped me pack these folders. I had people that helped prepare me, and I spent money on that. And they're all things that we know that we should do. They're good habits we know that we should have. But again, like we want to spend most of our time selling insurance. Keeping up with our book of business, spending time on hold with carriers, all of that stuff takes us away from our number one thing, which is helping more families. So building out some of the tools that we did to make you look like a professional, that was one of the main things with Lead Champ because now, I had someone that I was paying $1,000 a week to do various things as a staff member, but she probably was taking 6, 7 hours a week just to help me get prepared to go out into the home. And then probably another 4 hours a week calling carriers and then calling clients to let them know they were approved, calling clients to be like, hey, did your policy packet come in the mail? And with Lead Champ, it's like you've got a built-in employee. Yeah, I still have virtual assistants. Yes, I still have an appointment setter, but that entire, aspect of, calling clients to let them know they're approved. Now we have a text message that does that. We
Hmm.
used to send physical postcards and they would come over to my house and I would have to sign every single one of them. And then my staff would lick all the envelopes and put a stamp on them and send them out. And,
Yeah, I'd
that
say
is
you're probably like 5% of agents that ever even tried to do stuff like that.
It's like less than a half a percent of
Yeah,
agents. Most
yeah.
agents just
There's
keep moving.
yeah,
So now you get all these agents who would never do that, that lead champ automatically does it for them. So now it's like you look like a top 1% agent,
yeah,
even though you might not actually have the discipline of a top 1% agent who's going to go ahead and, get a staff member to do it. So
right.
we're helping people look good. Grady used to always say increase credibility, reduce sales pressure. So that's a big piece of keeping things on the book. Talk to us a little bit about like has the Verify My Underwriter site or any of those things that helped like save you a sale or take somebody from um, not trusting to trusting? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, the policy I wrote this morning, he was like, I don't, even though, I try to regulate objections as early as possible. So I told him I would need routing and account number. He's like, okay, before we even approved or pre-approved or anything with Americo, and then we get to the payment info, and he's like, I really don't want to do this. And I was like, Mark, you don't have to. I'm not forcing you to, but if you want the insurance, it's here. I was like, I think this would help out a little bit. That link I sent you, go click on that link. And he pulls it up and he sees the VMU site. So it's a picture of me. So now he knows who he's working with. He can scroll down, he sees all my license in different states. It sparks a conversation of how I got licensed in all the different states. So just like right there, boom, increased credibility. He felt way more comfortable doing this over the phone. And then we segued back into the application and he gave me his routing account number. So,
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times that I've had someone who's like, I don't give that stuff out over the phone. I'm like, yep, no problem. And I'm like, hey, I just sent you a link, click on it. And it's like either I'm having them click on my VMU or I'm doing a screen share of my VMU.
yeah,
And then I walk through it all and I'm like, hey, I'm licensed in all 50 states. Hey, here, click on South Carolina Department of Insurance website. Hey, here's the carrier, back to the quote tool, back to the app.
yeah,
And I'm like, all right, what's the account number? And they just
hmm
give it to you.
yeah. They're just like, I mean, think about it, dude. I mean, these people, first of all, we live in a world where AI voices sound just as real as me and you talking. So people are really scared that they're going to get scammed. And most of the, can't tell you how many times I've worked with vet leads or any final expense leads or older people where they're like, no, I've already been scammed. I'm not going to do that. And it sucks
Hmm.
because I mean that, other people ruin it for the people that are actually doing good. But I mean, as long as you can make them feel comfortable, they're going to give it to you. And to show them, who you are, all your licenses. And then look, you can get a VMU page on really any CRM, but LeadChamp Pro has the built-in videos on final expense, like whenever it books an appointment. Does the audience mainly have LeadChamp Pro, or like would you say kind of half and half?
I'd say like probably like 80% of the people who tune into this typically
Okay,
have lead champ who are live. And then like our
right,
YouTube channel, we get a lot of people who are looking. And I mean, a lot of people watching this replay are people who have not yet
right.
probably jumped on the platform.
Well, the biggest reason why LeadChamp Pro differs from like any other CRM that includes a Verify My Underwriter page is like whenever they book the appointment, obviously it sends them the VMU site, but it sends them also watch this video before our phone call so that you know what you're expecting.
Hmm.
And at first, I didn't know that they sent that at first. So the appointments are calling. They're like, yeah. So I watched the video, this and this and this. So and they knew exactly what they were getting into. They knew pretty much more than I did because I didn't even know that they sent them. So once I watched that video, I was like, dude, this is freaking awesome. Like it's already setting the scene for me before the call. And so Lead Champ Pro, it can be you got to be careful because it makes your job so much easier. So you have to be careful because I found myself dialing a lot less because it's literally booking like 5 to 10 appointments for me per week. I get a drip of 30 fresh vet leads. It texts them immediately and they book five to 10 appointments a week. I had a dude calling me at 3 a.m. last night. It woke me and my wife up. Luckily not our son. But like they get instant drip campaigns and every CRM has that. But this one, it just is a little bit more built out by a person like Jamie, who, I mean, has always kind of valued his book of business. It's not just to, keep up with them once in a while. Like, what did you say? That's like over 100 touches?
Yeah, you'll get
And
touched at least 100 times in the first year between text message, email, and postcard,
that's all.
which is a lot. So kind of two parts to this. One, you talked about booking about 5 to 10 appointments hands free. So that is
Hmm.
like that's AI. So of course, like there are a lot of systems out there that can set up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 text drip where we pop 50 leads in. It's going to text everybody one text now, text number two tomorrow, text number three, 3 days from now, and then 2 weeks from now, they'll have received 12 text messages. And you're going to have people who respond and you're going to have people who never respond. When we have people who respond, our AI bot, which is included for everybody. We don't charge to set up your bot, anything like that. Just our regular, messaging charges for AI. It takes over the conversation, and someone says, morning, afternoon, or evening, and they say mornings. An AI bot then takes over and has that conversation on your behalf, which is incredible. So it's like number one, in past systems that have had drips, you'll have people, you'll wake up and, you know, you'll go to log into your computer at 8 a.m. and you'll see that you had 4 people who texted last night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever. And then now it's like up to you to respond to that person and hope that their phone is in their hand and that they're ready. What's nice is that anytime that that lead responds and they say, yes, I want an appointment, the AI is going to take over, have that conversation with them when it's at the top of their mind, when it's the most important to them. Because especially I work truck drivers. Who knows when these guys are going to have their phone in their hand? When their phone's in their hand, they're available, they're ready. They say, yes, awesome. AI takes over, books that appointment on my behalf, and schedules it right in my calendar. And I don't have to do much, if anything at all, other than just show up to the appointment. But you had mentioned the idea of it makes you feel a little bit like spoiled and like, oh, I don't have to dial as much. But when you do dial on top of that, that's when you start having these like record profitable
Yep.
weeks. Like right
100%.
now, I've got AI, I've got an appointment center, and I've got myself. And when I look at every single week that's a record week, it's when I don't just rely on text message appointments. I
Yep.
don't just rely on my dialer to book for me. It's when
Yep.
I dial on top of all of those things and I book those extra 3, 4 appointments myself. And those always happen to be the ones that end up being the
Yep.
ones that you sell. Um, so it's not meant to make you work less. Like this should help you work more. This should help
Yep.
you to do the things that are most important. Let's have AI clean up, the layups, the easy ones, and then all those
Mhm.
people. And we talk about how if 10 people fill out a lead of any lead type, they've raised their hand and said they want insurance. 2 out of 10 of those people, if you book an appointment with, they should buy no matter what. Two out of
Mhm.
10 of those people will never buy from you, no matter what you say. Doesn't matter. They hate you. And then all the people in the middle, that's like the top producer who knows how to convert the middle. The person
Yep.
who can take those six in the middle and take that person from kind of interested to pretty interested. And
Yep.
it's like, I have a whole bucket of like hangups for my appointment setter. So it's like, I know that if they're a hang up, that means they answer the phone. I'm going to call those people back because, I know that I can convert those people into an appointment. So,
Yep.
that extra little bit of effort for you, like we have people who sell 10K a week and they don't dial at all. They just have AI book them appointments. It's kind of ridiculous. I'm like, dude, but what if you did dial?
Right.
Maybe you'd be doing 15, 20K a week. And they're like, hey
It's
man, like
crazy.
this isn't working. I'm like, dude, you're selling 10K a week with not dialing. What are you talking about?
Dude, let's
Um,
be real, dude. Dialing sucks. Dialing is in my opinion, the worst part about this job is dialing because if you're not dialing, you're not making money. That's how it's always been. And it's, having this system implemented doesn't mean you don't have to dial, but I'll tell you what, man, I dial a lot less than I used to. I mean, I was hammering dials, 6 to 8 hours a day, just dialing and doing what I could, but I still try to do that, but I don't necessarily have to, which is
yeah.
it's huge. Like you said, it's literally like an employee having an employee set up.
Let's talk about what you did before this. So let's say you got a batch of 50 leads. You were calling them from your cell phone. Like I know you've had some previous go high levels and stuff. But let's say before you
Mhm.
got into any like automation, you were just spreadsheet calling them from your cell phone.
No, I had CRM Center and
Yep.
they had Wave Dialer implemented. So I would
Yep.
just load them all into a Wave Dialer and call them. Um, I didn't use my phone a whole lot actually until recently. But yeah, I would just call them as many times as I could, keep them organized so that I know who I haven't called, who I have called, who told me to F off, who actually might have a little bit of interest. And that's all good. I can have those, you know, layered of, okay, these people may or may not be interested. These people are definitely not interested. These people are interested, but not really yet. And Lead Champ Pro literally has a button for all of those, which is insane. Like it will, for example, like if I have a lead that, I mean, we're doing telesales, so it's virtual insurance sales. Not everybody's going to be okay with just pulling the trigger on 200 bucks a month for insurance. They can't see me, they can't see the company. They're hearing all these things that I'm saying, but they don't, I mean, they may have never heard who Americo is in their entire life. So they don't know anything, they don't know any better. So not everybody's going to close right out the gate. And the people that are like, you know what, I'm going to think about it. I can't make a decision right now. I have to talk to my wife. I have to do this. I have to do this. It is so hard to keep up with those people when you have 50 fresh leads coming in every single week, plus aged leads to supplement. It is so hard to keep up with those people that said that they need to think about it. And now with Lead Champ Pro, it doesn't even, it puts them in their own little drip campaign for needing to think about it. And it drips on them for the next 45 days, saying, with not only policy information, but premium amount, company name, uh, face amount. These are the three options that you were looking at. Would you like to move forward? If not, then I'll remove you. Like it has converted a few of the people that are just like, I don't really know. I'll think about it. So I mean that's massive. But before it was just a lot more work, a lot more dialing. I mean, even though I should dial it as much as I did back then, I'd probably see an extra 5, 10K a month, but I'll
Yeah,
work. Yes, I'll work on that.
for sure. A lot more dialing, and then if you had, excuse me, if you had to do this manually, I don't think I could, excuse me, ever imagine myself sending 12 text messages to anybody. I would send two
Oh,
text messages, tickle in my throat. There we go. Two text messages, and then I'd be done. Jackson, tell me something, some other feature in Lead Champ while I catch my breath here. You
okay.
used the ERN the other day.
So I called Jamie. I was like, dude, what do I even do? Like, what is this ERN? Like, so he kind of ran me through the process of what it is. It is somebody that you've written. It's just a beautiful way to get referrals, is essentially what it is. But it's somebody that you've written and they get a text message 2 weeks after getting a policy and say, hey, add people. There's over $1 billion of unclaimed life insurance in the country, which is absurd. I tell all my clients that. And it's not because the companies don't pay out, it's because the family never knew that there was policies in place. I mean, if you die and you're the only one that knew you had a policy, how is anybody going to know that you had that policy in place? So the emergency response network texts them. It adds somebody into the emergency response network. They fill out their name, relationship to the client, and phone number. And it pretty much sends them a text essentially saying, like, hey, we got your father or mother or cousin life insurance. We got it set up. I just wanted to go through a quick overview of what they got put in place so that one, you're aware of it, and two, you know who I am and how to handle it. And so that's phenomenal because it's always hard. Anybody says, like, everybody needs life insurance, but nobody wants to get life insurance because they're always like, oh, I got plenty of time. I'll get it later. So getting referrals is difficult because people will say, yeah, I'm going to send people your way. And even though they might even talk to everybody and their mom about it, nobody's going to willingly reach out. It's just very rare. That's just the business we're in. People know they need it, but they don't necessarily get it because they feel like they have plenty of time. So with ERN, they booked the appointment and I kind of winged it. I'm not going to lie. I went off what Jamie said. I got on the phone and they were like, so are we beneficiaries? I was like, no, you're not listed as a beneficiary. But let's say his wife pass away at the same time. You guys now know that there's something in place. I need you to save my number and I can help you take care of it if that, whenever that time comes. Now they've saved my number as a life insurance agent. They know they now have an access they have access to somebody that can sell life insurance, so they always know if they need life insurance, they contact me directly. And um I didn't convert that one, but then last week uh an IUL that I wrote, her daughter ended up converting. And she already had coverage, but it was an increasing term. So I showed her that she could lock in a rate, and it was like I think it was $400 or $500 annual premium. But that one actually converted into a sale. And that's huge because that's just free money, y'all. I mean, if it, in lead-based
Yeah.
sales, we have to spend thousands of dollars a month in leads. If you can get a free lead, dude, I mean, that's worth the like, yeah, Lead Champ Pro might be 50 or $100 more expensive than like other competing CRMs, but it does so much more because if those convert, like at least 1 to 3 ERNs convert in a month, you've now made up, I mean, triple to quadruple the what you paid
I
extra
mean,
for the
even if one to
CRM.
three convert for the year, like
Exactly.
I would love it if you guys had to think about it, convert every month. I'd love it if you got an ERN every week.
Yep.
None of these features alone are going to save you guys, but like the compound effect of like, every now, so like I can go through all the features in a giant list. I probably have the missed payment button saves me 4 to 5 policies a month. Like that
Hmm.
alone right there pays for Lead Champ for like 2 years, just that one
Yep.
button alone. And then if I have, let's say I usually run about 100 appointments a month, maybe a little bit more. I had 20 appointments the other day, which is crazy, but
Jeez.
about 100 to 150 appointments a
That's
month.
absurd.
And if I just have 4 or 5 people that go from think about it to now buying, if I have, you know, 50% no-show ratio, but then of those 50 clients that no-showed me, if 10 of them get back on the phone because of the no-show button, like those are 10 people I probably would have never talked to again.
Yep.
If I have every person I talk to, I put in beneficiary and ERN, and some of them convert. Again, like we are in an advanced based commission business where the average policy for final expense is $80 a month with $1,000 commission. When you get into mortgage protection, it's like $220 a month. And I mean, right now, like I've been selling trucker IULs, and like my average premium has been between 300 and 500 a month. So it's like for
Whew.
me, if I just convert one of those because of one of these many features, it pays for itself. So people will be out there and like, is it really worth it to have, I guess, one of the more expensive CRMs in the game? As long as one of these things happens for you, which I
Yeah.
think many of them will happen for you in a compounded way, it will ultimately pay for itself.
Hmm.
And you
I think
ultimately see ROI.
that was my biggest thing whenever I saw you at the conference. First of all, moving CRMs is hell. It's terrible. It's awful. It's not fun.
Yeah,
Um, so it has to be worth it. That's what I told you at the table. I was like, dude, if I'm gonna switch to a different CRM, I don't like to be sold on things. Like I'm a salesman and I hate to be sold things. So like if I'm gonna switch, it's not gonna be because you sold me on it. It's because I feel like it's worth it and it would improve my business.
hmm
And he was like, okay, well then book a demo and we'll show you. And literally within the first 15 minutes of the call, I was like, yep, no, I'm switching because it made so much more sense. Every little implementation that they have, either the what happened buttons, the missed payment buttons, the ERN, the like, there's so many different things that can convert missed sales. It's gonna pay for itself and then some every single time.
100%. You said you're a salesperson who doesn't like to be sold. My problem is I'm a
I hate it.
salesperson who likes to be sold. So like I
Nope.
cannot go to the car dealership. I can't go anywhere unless we are 100% buying
No,
because
dude.
I can't answer the door for the door-to-door people. Like I want to be sold. So I just have to avoid everybody.
No,
And have to
sales.
kind of lock myself
I
away.
I think that might be why it took me so long to get to consistent 20 to 30K months is because I hate sales lingo, or at least like luckily we're in a business where we're not selling vacuum cleaners or anything stupid. Like we're selling
Yeah,
a necessity, we're selling a need-based product, but still I didn't want to I never wanted to say certain things because I was like they're gonna instantly think I'm trying to sell them something. And then I realized like I'm really the only one with like a radar for like when somebody's trying to sell me something. Not everybody really knows the difference, you know? So yeah, I am a salesperson and I hate being sold. Like if me and my wife went to buy a car and I honestly just pissed off the whole time because I knew I knew that that guy was like trying to sell me the car and most of what he was saying was not true, like sales tactics, you know? But
Yeah. 100%. Well, I mean, again, I mean, it just we have such a cool industry where, we sell a product that people need. We work in a lead-based business. Like this is Lead Champ Pro. Like this is not, friends and family Champ Pro where we just make a list of people and we call them and try to convince them to get life insurance. Like we put people in who at some point have raised their hand and said, I'm interested in life insurance. Now, it might have been a year
Mhm.
ago, might have been 5 minutes ago. The intent might vary, but I'd rather take someone from kind of interested to a buyer than not interested to interested. So it's like,
Yeah.
what a cool opportunity we have to, number one, talk to people who requested something. Number two, to talk to people about something that they actually need. I've sold all kinds of things. I was in network marketing for a long time. Everything that I sold, for the most part, was a luxury, something that would maybe make their life better, cooler, whatever, but it wasn't necessarily something that they needed. So in our business, we've got it's a very like a selfless thing that somebody is doing for somebody else. So,
Yeah.
you've got this need-based sale, which is such a cool thing that we have here. Um, Kind of as we wrap this thing up, Jackson, what advice would you have for somebody on here who, maybe is trying to figure out their lead flow? Like lead flow is a big thing in this business. Like you've kind of settled in on, veteran leads. You've got a nice little groove with adding in some ethos abandoned cart leads. Like I'm sure you've tried all kinds of stuff. You've done everything from the super age stuff. You've done the super high intent stuff. Like how did you figure out what was going to be your lead flow and like what does it look like to kind of commit to something, be consistent with it? Like what advice would you give?
Yeah. I think ultimately just stay in your lane, pick a lane and stay in it. Sean Mike once said, you don't know if something doesn't work unless you've done it for 90 days straight. Like if a lead type doesn't work for 2 weeks, a lot of agents will freak out and just stop working the lead. When if you did it for another 2 weeks, you could see a massive change. So I would don't get too, I don't understand you got to make money. So I get it. It can be, scary to try to figure out what lead type to go with, but it doesn't matter the type of lead, in my opinion. It matters how you work them. There are agents that are writing 400,000 plus Hall of Fame with aged leads only. I mean, I'm talking like bronze car, abandoned car, or not abandoned car, but bronze gemstone leads in the ILC.
Yeah.
There's people that only buy those and write 400 to 600,000 a year. And there's people that write 400 to 600,000 a year that are writing only fresh leads. It What's funny is the people that are spending, or the people that are buying the gemstone leads, they're spending the same amount as people that are spending on fresh leads, anywhere from 1,000, 2,000 bucks a week, whatever, someone's lead spend might be. They're spending the same amount. Gemstones, you have more leads to work, and the fresh leads, you have significantly less leads to work. I personally would rather buy the fresh leads and get the best of the best. They're like $42 per lead for like the goat vet leads. I would rather do that and get high intent people rather than call aged gemstone. That's just personal preference. But if you would rather get a multitude of leads and work them that way, like it doesn't matter what kind of lead you work, it completely matters on how you work them. So
Mhm.
just pick one, stay in a lane. If you ever go to change leads, I would recommend not just cutting it out completely or like, doing a full switch. I'd recommend kind of supplementing with some to see how they work, how you're supposed to talk to the person, because it can be pretty tricky. I mean, I've been doing vet leads for close to a year now. Um, and the reason I like vet leads is because you have a niche market of veterans. Veterans life insurance, like VA life, VGLI, it all sucks. Like it's terrible. It's not competitive at all. There's 2 year waiting periods. The premiums are expensive. So veterans can get way better options in the private sector, and I'm able to help them out with that.
Hmm.
If because I get 30 fresh vet leads a week. Because I only get 30 leads, that's not a lot of people to work. So the people that book appointments, like the one I sold this morning, he booked his own appointment Monday, and then canceled our appointment on Tuesday, and then rescheduled for today, and I closed him. All
Wow.
the AI, by the way, that like
Hmm.
it took care of all of that. Um, but 30 leads a week, that's not a whole lot. So if I do need extra, then I'll either supplement with Ethos, or I've been doing like inbound or consumer
Okay.
initiated calls where they're calling me. Those are pretty interesting. Um, they convert really well, but I'm worried about retention. I don't know if
Sure.
anybody's uh, done like inbound calls for a long time, but I'm kind of worried about persistency. I don't know because it's such an impulse. They call a number and then they all of a sudden they get insurance.
Yeah.
Um, so
Okay.
I would say any advice would just be find a lane, stick it, see if it works. If it doesn't, after you don't necessarily have to go 3 months, but if you go a month and you're not seeing the work you or the profit that you'd like to, then yeah, try to switch something up.
For sure. One thing I'll also just kind of caveat here, guys, or just a little asterisk. Once you have an appointment, it doesn't matter if it was a 2 cent lead or $100 lead. Like once someone's booked an appointment with you, if they show up to that appointment, they're worth the same amount of money, no matter what you spent on them. If you
Yep.
have an appointment who says, I want life insurance and I'm willing to hear you out and I have an income and I want some life insurance, no matter what niche it is, no matter what lead type it is, no matter what age it is, that
Yep.
appointment that showed up is worth the same amount of money to you, regardless of the lead. One of the things that Grady taught me early on, he talked about this pendulum. On one side, you've got time, and on one side, you've got money. And in the beginning, typically, not always, typically most new agents don't have a lot of money, but they have a lot of time. So what do? They buy a crap ton of aged leads and they have sweat equity and they go and they figure out, they put in their time to be able to go out and, get 10 apps a week, whatever that number is. So they go buy two, three, 400 aged leads. And out of those two, three, 400 leads, they spend like $1,000. They turn that into 10, 12 appointments. And of those 10, 12 appointments, maybe six show up and they sell two. Like that's pretty typical. They spent 1,000 and then maybe they made three, 4,000. Great. And now you've got the person who, they like you who gets, 30, $42 leads. And then the same thing, you book 10, 12 appointments. And then now maybe you've been in here for a little bit longer, six or seven of them show up, but you sell four out of seven that show up. And now your ROI is a little bit better. But it's like in the beginning, you've got all this time. And then as you start making consistent commissions, the pendulum can swing and you can use your money to get your time back. So in the beginning, I worked only internet leads, cheap, cheap, cheap internet leads, smile and dial all day long. Now I do $38 trucker leads, $40 IUL leads. I'm not against working a big batch of aged leads. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I supplement with them every now and then. Nothing wrong with that. But it comes down to time. A lot of the times you end up spending the same amount. Like if I were to look at a, a producer who's spending $1,000 a week, they typically get the same number of appointments if they just work the leads. So if I spend $1,000 a week on $40 leads, I just maybe my skill set needs to be a little bit higher because I have less swings. That's really all it is. I've got less swings. So I've got, 40 leads at $40 a piece, whatever that is. I'm still probably going to book about 10 to 15 appointments. If I've got, 1,000 leads that are $10 a piece, or $1,000, $10 a piece, 100 leads, I'm probably still going to book 10 to 15 appointments. If I spend $1,000 on mega aged leads that like $1 a piece, I'm probably still going to book 10 to 15 appointments. Like I don't know why it works like that, but that's just typically the numbers. And the only difference between working aged leads versus new leads is just the amount of time dialing the phone. That's all it is. The amount of time dialing the phone, and you got to sift through a lot more cards depending on how aged the leads are. So again, you had said it's not about the leads, it's about how you work the leads. Okay. And we also say, inside of Lead Champ, it's not about what leads you put into the system. It's about what happens next. So once that appointment is booked, once you make that sale, it's about what happens next. It's about how we keep that person on the book. So, Lead Champ, our main goal is obviously we want to set more appointments for you, hands free, number one. Number two, we want to help you keep business on the books. And we want to help you get more referrals. Like those three things, I'm sure there's more things that we can help you do, but like those three things are really like the core pillars of Lead Champ. Help you set more appointments hand free, help you keep more business on the books, and help you get more referrals.
Yep.
So like that's what we're here to do. Any closing words, Jackson, for anybody on here who maybe they found this on YouTube, they're like, I don't know, I'm thinking about giving this Lead Champ thing a shot. I'm not 100% sure. Like, what would be your final words for them?
It's worth it. It's worth it. I was on the fence from the get-go, but no, it's 100% worth it. This, like I said from the beginning, half of our job is writing insurance. Anybody can do that. I always say my dog could write it. And there's people that would buy insurance from legitimately anybody. Selling insurance is not very hard. What new agents don't realize, the other half of the business is keeping up with your book of business, persistency, client relation. Any CRM can keep their info like logged, but not every CRM keeps in touch with them as if they are you keeping in touch with your clients. And that's huge. And I also think in the future, if, there is a death claim that needs to be processed, I'm going to get a call from somebody's in their either ERN network or their beneficiary that's calling me asking for help, and that's when we really do our job. That's when this job actually gets real, is when there's actually a death claim that needs to be processed, and we are able to not only tell them how to do it, but do it for them and do it with them because that's what our job is.
100%. When I first got in the industry, Grady Polson's dad, who's in the industry forever, he said, "Welcome to the most honorable profession on the planet." Grady calls it the best business ever. We call it that for a reason. We get to help a lot of people, and Lead Champ Pro is just a good partner to help assist you guys with doing the most important thing, which is protecting families. So, Jackson, thank you so much for joining us, man. I really appreciate you. A lot of good value here. We look forward to seeing you here in a couple of weeks in Dallas. And everybody, let's get back to live dialing, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace out, everyone.
Appreciate it, Jamie.